Hello and welcome to this episode of Creating with Howcraft. My name is Denise Yezbak Moore with howcraftcollection.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create my clementine bracelet. So this is what the bracelet looks like up close. The tools and supplies you will need to create this bracelet are round nose pliers, wire cutters, chain nose pliers. This is S-Lon cording number 18. It's a really beautiful aqua color. The beads we will be using today are from the new bead boxes that were just added to howcraftcollection.com. These little metal beads came from the amber bead box, and the rest of our beads came from the aqua bead box. We'll need 4mm jump rings, a head pin, a lobster clasp, and 2 8mm jump rings. I have a couple of tricks I will be showing you today. For those tricks, you will need a wire brush. This one is not sharp. A lighter, and your glue of choice. This is super glue gel control. Works well with the S-Lon. You could also use GS Hypo cement. A complete list of the jewelry making supplies and beads along with printable PDF instructions can be found on howcraftcollection.com. Search Clementine bracelet. We are going to start off by cutting a 15-inch length of the S-Lon cording. I'm not going to condition this cording because we're not going to be forming a ton of knots. And I always cut my cording a little bit longer. It's easier for me to create these little knot dangles at the end. You could probably get away with 12 inches, but it will be harder to form the knots at the end, so I suggest 15 inches. If you watched my last S-Lon cording bracelet video, I used nail polish to form a little needle. Another trick is you can take a lighter, and we're going to rub it over, and then we're just going to come back in and twist it, and it's going to harden up that end. So now we're going to do it to the other side. We're just going to go over and twist. And now the ends are hard. Since we hardened the end of the cording, it's going to make it easier for us to string our findings and our beads. So we picked up our lobster clasp, and we're going to move it down about 5 or 6 inches. And we are going to form an overhand knot. We're going to grab that, and we are just going to move that knot down. And now we're going to separate the strands, and we are going to tighten the knot. For S-Lon cording, I like to dab a little bit of glue on the end of my knot, so it's nice and secure. So we're just going to come back in, and we're going to dab a tiny bit of glue on each side of that knot, and we are going to let it dry. Now the fun part, we get to start stringing our beads. So I just picked up a little seed bead, and we are going to pass that through, bring it down to the end, and we're going to pick up our little metal bead, and then our metal rondelle, and then our tube bead. We're going to bring those down to the end. We're going to pick up a purple round, bring that down, and then I like to use jump rings as spacers. It just adds a tiny little bit of sparkle Now we're going to pick up another purple teardrop glass bead, string that down. Another jump ring. Let's see, we're doing an oval. String that down. Another jump ring. The glass round. Another little jump ring. Now we're going to the aqua. Jump ring. Our next aqua bead. Another jump ring. Our aqua tube bead. Jump ring. Our aqua round bead, and you can see that our bracelet is starting to take shape. Okay, now we're going to go with another jump ring and this olive bead. We're going to string that down. Our next jump ring, our olive round, jump ring, our olive rondelle, jump ring, our olive bead. We're going to string that down. And now we are going to string our little gold bead. We are stringing our gold bead down. Now we're going to come back in and we are going to open our jump ring. This is how you open and close a jump ring. We're going to grab our other jump ring. We are going to attach it. Close that jump ring. Make sure it's nice and tight and snug so it won't slip off the bracelet. If you just have a closed ring, you can also use a closed ring. So now we're going to pick up our jump rings and our bracelet. And we are going to string our jump rings down. We're going to come back over and we are going to form. This is a simple knot, and I'm just taking my round nose pliers and I'm going to pull that knot down, and I'm going to tighten that up, making sure it's butted right up against there. And then we are going to grab our super glue and we're going to dab the knot and let that dry. Now we're going to form these little fringy dangles. So this is why we have the extra length. It is much easier to form your knots if you have a little bit of length on the end. So we're just going to form an overhand knot, and we're going to move that down. I'm kind of squishing it down there. And then we're going to come back over and pick up our little glass bead. We're going to string that through, bring it down, and now we're going to form another overhand knot. And we're just coming back in with our round nose pliers, and we're moving the knot down. to push it right up against that bead. And then we're going to come back in and trim off that little end. If you don't fray the ends of your cording, it just kind of sits there and it really doesn't look finished. So I like to come back in with my round nose pliers and separate the strands, and then I gently brush them out with the wire brush. So now we're moving over to the other side, and we are going to form our overhand knot. So I just move that down a little bit. And then I'm going to tighten it up. Grab our little purple bead. We're going to string that down. And we are going to form our next overhand knot. Get it situated right. And we're just going to move that knot down and then push that knot up to the bead, come back in, trim that little end, and then we're going to fray the cording. We're going to come back in with our brush. And we are just brushing those little ends. At this point, you can leave the bracelet the way it is. Of course, I always like to add little dangles. So let's create our dangles. I created one of the olive dangles already. I'll show you how to create the other. I'm using a head pin and I'm stringing that bead down, and we're going to form a simple loop. So we're just going to bend that wire down, trim that little end, and with our round nose pliers, we are going to roll the wire towards us to form a simple loop. Now we're going to come back in, we're going to open our loop, pick up our bracelet, attach, close that loop, grab my other olive one that I had pre-made, and we're going to attach that onto the second jump ring, and we're just going to close the loop. You're testing the two techniques, either burning the end of the cord or putting nail polish at the end of the cord. I recommend using nail polish. It doesn't come undone, and I think it's easier to string the beads. And there you have it, how to create my clementine bracelet. If you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe at Howcraft USA. Follow us on Instagram at Howcraft Collection Beads. Be sure to visit howcraftcollection.com for more inspirational DIY projects and for all your jewelry making needs. New beads are added weekly, and each week howcraftcollection.com features a fabulous new sale. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.